Well, I'm continuing with the clog uppers today, so I've got my two sets of uppers largely made here. What I need to do is sort out the heel. So at the moment what I've done is taken a little bit of a tuck in each way on the heel, and the idea of that is to get a bit of a curved shape here which matches up with the last. So I'll next of all put in a lining around the heel, and it's very similar to these children's clogs here. So if you look inside these, you can see there's a lining at the back there. So I'm going to do the same sort of approach, going to put a lining in the back, do a stitch down for the sort of liner. I will then put some stiffener leather in between the two layers to give it a bit more rigidity as well, and I'm going to do a little back seam just for added strength on the back. So I'll do that, and then I will be ready for actually nailing these uppers. So for the lining, I've got this nice bit of, it's 1mm thick natural veg tan leather, and I've got a little template, so I'll make a couple of these and I'll be ready to sew them into the back of the shoe. So I'm just gluing my liner piece into the back here, just marked where it's going, applying some aquilum to each surface, and then I can just press it home. What I'll then do obviously is once it's glued in, I'll be able to stitch it. So that's the lining piece sewn in, so it's just sewn on the outside here. So here's my heel stiffener. I've used a bit of about 2.5mm fairly firm veg tan leather, and I've skived it around the edges to make it nice and thin and a nice graduating gradient. So I'm just popping some glue in here. The idea with the sort of stiffener, because you have sort of glue on the stiffener both sides, and you have it obviously on the sort of shoe as well, on the outer and on the liner, you get like a plywooding type effect. So you get this lamination which increases the stiffness, which is what you want. Gets potentially a bit mucky, but I'll get the glue on this, pop it in the shoe, and then get the shoe upper straight onto the last, so that I'm sort of keeping the shape of the heel etc. on the last there. I've got a nice warm workshop, so this will dry quite well. I need to obviously, with all of this, make sure that I have the correct upper, so I've marked a left and a right for my uppers, just with a pen, so that I know which one goes on which last. Otherwise I could find myself getting very confused. I've put the stiffener into the gap there, and I'm just whooshing it sort of over the back of the shoe, and I can just give it a little tap as well, just to get everything sticking where it needs to stick, and that will stiffen up the back of that very nicely. Try and get rid of any obvious creases where I can, and just make sure it's nice and flat for where the foot goes. So I'm just sort of thumbing the interior of this, so it's quite hard to sort of show it on camera, but I'm basically making sure the two surfaces, or all the surfaces, are mating with each other, and that I haven't got any wrinkles. But that will stiffen that up very nicely. I'll do the same to the other one, and then that will be the stiffeners in, and then we'll be ready for the more exciting bit, and that's fitting the uppers onto the wooden sole units. Going to stitch this down on my post bed machine next. It will be a fair challenge for the post bed, because it's quite a few thicknesses there with the stiffener as well, but I know it can just do it, so if need be I can sort of encourage it by hand so as not to strain things. So I'll get that on, and that will give that back. That back is feeling really solid now, which is what I wanted. And that's it sewn in. So quite a challenge for the post bed, but it did manage it, which is great. So it's outer layer, obviously another outer layer, then the 2.5mm veg tan, and then the lining leather at about 1 millimetre. So that is pretty well a max I think you can comfortably do. I've just tried as a bit of an experiment, because I had left like 3/4 of an inch of leather or 1/2 an inch of leather all round. I thought, actually, just to get an idea of how this is fitting to my actual foot, I'll tack it down. So I've actually put the leather literally down to the line here. I knew I'd done them quite so tight, and actually it's pretty well spot on. There's nothing like, if you have your feet, obviously, fitting a shoe to your actual feet, and then I can check it over. But the fit feels extremely good. I'm quite surprised. Here's a closer view of it off my foot. So as I say, I've just put a few tacks in, which are sort of tending to come out of it. Again, I'm actually quite surprised. This is pretty well spot on. You know, they feel like they're being supported. They're not too loose, too tight. I'll do a little bit of trimming just to really fine tune them. And I think what I'll probably do is start nailing the heels, the back area. Normally you'd sort of start with a toe and pull it forward, but I think I might do it in reverse as they're actually on my feet. I think I've got a nice support around those heels. It feels pretty perfect to me. So that's the heel stiffened and the first trial fit of the upper done, which is looking pretty good actually. So in the next video I will be fixing the upper and hopefully trying on the shoes for like a final time. So no, see you then. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.